And here we go with the next episode of the Sloth Doctors. I am Dr. Chip.
I'm Dr. Bob.
And I've given up counting, but I think this is episode 14.
I just looked. I just checked the file to make sure. So
it's not that important.
Unless I can't count, which is a distinct possibility. Right. 14 it is.
So we have no guest for this episode, so we've got a few things to talk about. But first, how was your drive down?
Pretty uneventful, nice and smooth. Hot
I was going to say, good weather for it.
Yeah, good weather. Thankfully, the love bugs are done. So that was great. I won't have to wash the car on the way both ways.
It's so weird that they just, like for a week.
Yeah.
And then they're gone.
Yeah. And truly dedicated to their task.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. It's crazy.
No, didn't see any boar sightings. No boars, no bears.
No deers.
No, nothing.
God,
no wildlife at all. No iguanas.
I saw a video of a guy on a motorcycle. And it was luckily it was not a big deer. It was like a fawn or something. Darted out between these cars and smashed this Harley straight on. And he kept it. He didn't lose it or anything, but it was just like, oh Jesus! I don't think the deer made it. But yeah, those things are crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I know, that's one of the advantages of living. South Florida, I guess, is pretty good about deer unless you get west enough.
Yeah, well, the problem here is if you run over a gator.
Yeah.
I almost did that once when I think it was in high school, and of course, when I was in high school, Jog and Forest Hill was literally like the middle of nowhere. Literally the middle of nowhere. No lights, no nothing. There was nothing there. I'm pretty sure one or both of them was a dirt. Well, no, I don't think Jog. Well, yeah, maybe. One or both of them may have even been a dirt road at that point. But anyway, I was out there looking for these guys' house that were having a party, and it was on Pioneer, so I'd gone past it. And I was out there looking around trying to find this, and I went around a corner once, in the dark, and I had to hit the brakes because there was a big old gator laying right across if I'd have hit that thing going at speed, it would have wrecked. It would have ripped the bottom end of the car out.
Probably flatten the tires. Yeah.
Oh, at the very least.
But the good thing about a gator, you might flip the car, but at least it's not likely to come through the windshield.
True.
True. Antler you in the face as it leaps to its death and yours as well.
That is true.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Plus, they're not as fast. That's one thing. Yeah. If you do have a chance to see it, they're easier to avoid. Whereas the deer just comes flying.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All in all, horrifying though.
Right. Well, you made it safely. So, all right. The first thing I wanted to talk about today is I want to retire a term that I'm pretty sure I invented, and that's the term uniparty. I've been using that term literally since, I want to say, the late 90s, if not the early 2000s. And back then, people used to ask me, like, what do you mean uniparty? What does this mean? And now it's a pretty common term. I think I invented it.
And refresh me. Uniparty is the concept that both parties are essentially just the same. Yeah.
Well, the reason I'm retiring it is, I don't know if you know who Mike Benz is.
No.
He's a podcast dude, but he was actually a former Trump staffer or something like that. But anyway, he does a lot of podcasts like Tucker and Dave Smith and guys like that. And he calls it the blob. So that's the new term for the uniparty is the blob. That's what I'm going to be calling it from now on.
And do you feel that is different from the swamp, or is the swamp a subset of the blob or the uniparty?
The blob is basically what lives in the swamp. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I invented that term. I don't remember anybody using it before I did. And then now it's a pretty common term. A lot of people use it. Matter of fact, distinctly remember, I think it was Tucker that used it once, either on air or on his podcast. Actually, I think it was pretty much on air back when he was still on TV. And I was like, hey, he used my term. That's my term. I'm pretty sure I invented that term. But anyway, it's time has served well, and we'll start.
Speaking of Tucker and my ride down, thanks to you, I did subject myself to the entirety of his podcast that he did with Ted Cruz. And to hear that tiddish, girlish laughter as many times as I did in a drive, I almost wish I had seen a deer or an alligator or something I could have swerved towards to end the drive.
That's right. I didn't even think about it. You didn't even have the luxury of looking. You had to just listen
to it. Just listening.
You couldn't even see it coming.
No, which is probably a benefit. Did he have the tie?
Those two
the best. There's nothing better than having two people start off with a resounding, we agree on 80% of everything. And he used, I think Cruz used the term that I've never heard anybody say before about how much they agree. One of them said vehemently, which clear enough. I've heard that. And then he said, we violently agree. And that is just such a weird mix mash of mixed messages there. I did not quite understand it, but then to go on and just scream at each other. And then about 2/3 of the way through, go back and say, okay, but we still agree on 80% of everything. Yes, I agree with that.
Like
yes.
I posted this on Facebook.
And then hang on. And then at one point, Tucker says, I've been wrong so many times. And he goes, you won't get consistency from me. And it just comes right out and says, I'm not consistent, but I'm sincere. That was the answer.
Yeah. He's sincere even when he's wrong.
It was astonishing. And it was starting to enrage me until I reached the decision that it really was just performance art. And then I started to enjoy it.
It kind of is. But what it was a chess match between two passively aggressive guys. It's literally, I mean, I've never seen a more passively aggressive chess match in my life without actually going out and saying, you're wrong, you're an asshole.
It was so ridiculous. Well, like you said, it was so ridiculous, and it got heated to so many points where any normal person would have said at this point, like just call him out. The fact that neither one of them went that far, there has to be an element of it's just staged and it's puppetry, and
it was hilarious. And
parts of it were, no doubt.
Yeah.
Parts of it were definitely.
And insanely horrifying at the same time.
Well, yeah, the general topic about what's a-coming was not hilarious.
And I love how Tucker can swing effortlessly from, I don't think we should really be involved, to, what, they're trying to kill Trump? Let's nuke them.
Yeah. Within 10 to 15 seconds
wait, what?
Of saying, let's nuke them, he said, I don't believe in killing anybody. Except, 250,000 at a time. Like, what do you mean you don't believe in killing anybody? Let's nuke them. Like, that's an insane dichotomy of statements.
It's so crazy. Oh, my God. So we should probably tailboard that right into our Joe Rogan, Cash Patel discussion. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. It's a little dated for us to be talking about it. True, now, but for sure, it is definitely something that.
First of all,
some more homework that was assigned to me that I started checking out because I knew you wanted to talk about it.
But did it not remind you of the Seinfeld issue, the Seinfeld episode with the lawyer and Kramer doing all the sniffling?
I can't remember.
Oh, you never saw that one where they thought Kramer was doing coke? Because he was sniffling all the time, and then and Kramer was hanging out with this other guy, and it was the lawyer was sniffling all the time. They're like, yeah, this guy's on coke. Turns out he was allergic to Agora or something like that.
No,
but it's like the whole episode. Cash is just like, I'm like, God, I'm like reliving a Seinfeld episode or something.
No, I didn't notice that, but I did notice it reminded me a lot of like a Parks and Rec episode where Ron Swanson refuses to answer questions. And he says, I only answer questions with other questions. You know what I mean? And so every single time, well, do you think I would do that? Because essentially that's every time Rogan asked him a question. Do you think if I had evidence that it wouldn't be out? Do you think? And I'm sitting there watching it and listening to it.
Pointed that out.
And immediately every time he says, do you think, I went, yes, we think that's why he's asking the question.
Exactly what we think. Yes,
that is exactly what we think. Oh, as you clearly have changed your mind about 100% on everything. So yeah, it was astonishing.
I must say, I kind of do believe Epstein killed himself, and I think it was the scenario I talked to you about. I think he was just jerking off.
Just autoerotic asphyxiation.
Yeah.
Right. The Carradine route.
Yeah. Because, I mean, think about it. First of all, he's a sexual deviant.
All right, yes, fair enough. He is a demonstrable freak.
And, I mean, listen, as a compulsive masturbator, sometimes it's like, fuck, finally I get a moment alone, Right. He hasn't been alone for a long time.
Maybe he even slipped somebody some cash or bribed somebody. Please just turn the cameras off and leave me alone long enough for me to bust a nut.
I'm telling you, I think that could be it. And that could be the reason why. And I mean, they're saying, we have film. And of course, if you had film, we'd have seen it already, unless you're not done doctoring it up yet.
Right. As soon as the AI gets sufficiently good enough to produce a video that nobody can question, then they will find
or it's film of him jerking off. That could be
whichever, whichever one they want to release. But once it looks airtight, foolproof, that's the one that we're going to see. Now, before we discuss any more about the actual content of the conversation, and I know it's a low blow to do this, but what exactly why has anybody noticed that it looks like Patel is wearing a fake nose? Like there's a clear tan line, like a zinc oxide lifeguard at the pool kind of thing going on.
To me, it looks like he's got something on the bridge of his nose, and that's why I got the witchy poo reference.
Right. Which then
like,
led me to realize, because I went back and started watching more footage of him, and I was watching footage of him, I think it might have been his confirmation or somewhere where he was talking to the Senate, and he had those thick black glasses on. And I realized he's Humpty. It's Humpty Hump.
You're ruining it, man. I was trying to get somebody to do that for you and make the video, but yeah. The Trumpty,
well, there may or may not be video
dance.
Forthcoming, but
he's Trumpty Trump.
He's doing the Trumpty dance.
Yeah, that's going to be. I tried to get. Matter of fact, we have a guest on next episode that I tried to get him. And I was like, hey, do you know how to? But yeah, he didn't respond.
Yeah, but, and aside from his, the Epstein things that he talked about, he really wanted to push hard the narrative of stomping out fentanyl in the United States.
Oh, and that's the thing. That is my biggest disappointment with Joe Rogan. All right, I'm sorry. I sat there and watched Cash Patel bitch about fentanyl for 20 minutes of the fuck, easily. And Joe Rogan knows how to fix it. He knows exactly how to fix the fentanyl crisis. Just like he's said many times on his podcast before, just legalize it. Stop. Just make it legal. That solves all the problems. All of them. Nothing is a problem if you just make it legal. We get rid of the cartels. Guess what? The cartels got no way to make money if you legalize drugs. That's it. Cartels are done. Sorry, CIA. And it's just so stupid. And just think of all the resources you would then free up to do exactly what these maniacs think is a real problem. Chase down the pedophiles. Take the drug war, turn it into a pedophile war. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Although you're going to start putting people in jail for
definitely
pedophiles.
Somebody needs to be put aside for, at the very least, trying to convince people maybe to not do the fentanyl. I mean, that is shouldn't be a recreational drug.
Dude,
I'm for the legalization.
Remember when they used to have anti-cigarette smoking? It worked.
It did.
Do the same thing. Look, fentanyl will kill you. Don't do it. It's, but the fact is that the people that are dying from fentanyl don't even know they're getting it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because of the drug war.
My biggest point of his whole fentanyl, one of the points I wanted to make about his whole conversation about fentanyl was his seeming misunderstanding of the use of fentanyl as far as medical usage. Because I swear he almost said verbatim, it might have some limited medical value. It has extreme, not just for humans. My sister is a veterinary tech. She works in surgery. They use it for animals, too. If your dog's ever had surgery, he's had fentanyl. If you've ever been to the ER with a pain over a 9, you've probably had fentanyl. If you've ever been under general anesthesia within the last 5 years, you've had fentanyl. It's, it is an extremely useful drug in the medical field.
I don't think I've had anesthesia in the last 5 years.
Or maybe more, but I'm just saying it's very popular.
I don't think I had anesthesia in this fentanyl years. I probably never had it.
And he also talked about how China is sending the precursor chemicals, which is, I'm sure that's true. And we can get into in a few minutes about why their motivation for doing that may or may not be, but that they were sending it now to places like Canada, instead of Mexico and having it cross in through the northern border. And then he went on to say that, it's not being dispersed in Canada. It's, it's the problem is down here in the United States. It's like, no, Vancouver's had people dying on the streets just like Seattle and Portland have for, at least the last 5 years.
Yeah, but the way they make it seem is like, nobody likes drugs but Americans.
Yeah. So it was very disingenuous to make it seem like, Canada's not being affected by the opioid crisis, because they certainly are.
So why do you think China is sending? I think they're selling it. I don't think they're sending it. I think they're.
Yeah. Well, yes, I should have said that. Of course, they're not donating it. They're not giving it away. Of course, they're selling it. But aside from
if they were donating it, that would suggest something nefarious.
Yes, but they don't need to donate it. It's a product that sells itself.
Exactly.
Which brings me to the reason why what I think is why philosophically why they would be doing it is because it's perfect payback for the opium wars, which led to the series of what I believe they call the 100 years or the 1,000 years or whatever, 100 years of humiliation. When at that time England, but it was still the West, the powers,
That's true.
So if you want to destabilize a country, which is kind of what happened to them and why they outlawed the smoking of opium in China, is because it was destroying their society, and the Britons, were just basically forcing them to buy it from them or refusing to comply with Chinese law and not sell it there. And this is just a perfect poetic justice. It's a perfect payback. Yeah. It's a great way to destabilize a country because primarily junkies are, for the most part, young, impressionable. men and women, that's what makes up, it's going to be the draftable or enlistable portion of your society.
Yeah.
So it directly affects your military competence.
Yeah, which, it's hilarious to think that we may
as well as morale and the resources that have to be paid for dealing with it, and it just looks horrible on the world stage. And it's one thing they can say, look at America, they got people dying in the streets. Yeah, there's all kinds of great reasons to do it.
And it's crazy to think that, some people in Washington are now advocating for boots on the ground in Iraq. And it's like,
you mean Iran?
I mean, yeah, Iran. Like, who? What boots? We don't, we've been,
The two of those guys, Carlson and Cruz, they danced around that subject like a square dance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, because, I mean, it's just, if you took out all the psychotic, insane leaders and you just had rational people dealing with any of these subjects, they would, it would be over in moments. But it's just these insane people that cling to these ideologies that are all absolutist. And it's like, wait. Like I was saying, that chick Macy was on PBD today, and she's like, oh, yeah, we're going to go to a war with Iran sooner or later. If we don't do it now, we got to do it later. It's like, wait. What do you mean? We have to go to war with Iran sooner or later. Can't we just peacefully coexist? I mean, they wouldn't even want a nuclear bomb if we weren't messing with them for,
Yeah, I mean, countries go to war for two reasons: money.
Yeah,
and you can call money resources or territory or whatever you want, but it's still value. You know what I mean? It's having something or not having something, and the other is religion.
Yeah,
and in the West, the more secular, rational-minded people of us tend to forget that there are still a lot of people on the planet that will totally do things for a restrict.
Right.
Cruz even said his primary reason. His first personal reason that he supports Israel is because it commands him to in the Bible.
And which it doesn't, which is hilarious.
But still, to have that as your basis,
right,
and you're a senator, what does that say?
Well, I think that's just an excuse. I mean, this is so obviously, this is Israel's war. Obviously, we don't have anything to do with it.
A large percentage of U.S. politicians and U.S. citizens, the reason they support it is for biblical reasons.
Yeah. Well, that's the excuse that they give. But I mean, what it is Israel wants to get rid of the last opposition that they have to their land grab. They want to finish taking over, the Gaza and the West Bank and all that, and that's the last little piece of opposition left, right. But people going, no.
And at the same time, from a coldly logistical standpoint, what Cruz says about having them as a base in the area, they are the enemy of every one of those Muslim Shia law countries that are ideologically opposed to us 180 degrees. Yeah. So in a sense, they are the enemy of our enemy.
Yeah.
But was it Biden or I can't remember who it was that said that, and I'm going to paraphrase it, that if Israel didn't exist, we'd have to invent it.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think it was Biden, but yeah, I've heard that quote too. Yeah, it's crazy.
But, the British thought of it first, but we would have had to invent it.
Yeah.
Which really harkens back to a battle that's been, like I said, the two reasons why nations go to war, whether it's money / territory resources or religion. But there's been a religious war going on in Europe and Northern Africa and as far as Indonesia since the year around 635 or so, when, the Muslim conquest began. Went all the way up into Spain and then got pushed back down, went all the way into Constantinople, turned it into Istanbul, got as far as into, I believe, it's Italy, even Germany. There was even a Battle of Toulouse in France where they were pushed back by either Martel or Charlemagne. So it's just continuation of...
Without the battling Muslims, there'd be no Knights Templar. There'd be no banking system. There'd be no, all that came from all of that.
But, nobody talks about the concept of Christendom, but it kind of almost still exists. We just call it the West.
Yeah, true.
Even if the Christendom itself is splintered. And the reason they don't do it is because when the term Christendom was being used, it was such a united concept. There really was there wasn't any kind of offshoot of any until well after the year of 400 or something. The Council of Nicaea was the first little split. I just watched a fascinating video the other day. There's a YouTuber, I think the name of the channel is Useful Charts. And he sells these really cool charts. And this is like a 3-hour video about the entire history of the Christian church. Starting from the first original old Jewish temple down to Mormons. and every offshoot, every time there was a schism, what the schism was about, why they did it. And it's fascinating and interesting to watch and see how such minor, what we would consider splitting hairs, would cause these giant schisms that sometimes resulted in bloodshed and violence, and sometimes it just resulted in harumphs, and you go your way, I go mine, and then eventually the adherents all decided to go this way, and that branch dies out or becomes extinct. Maybe it gets revived again later because the idea was kind of popular, or rediscovered the idea. But it was very, very interesting to see, because it'd been a long time since I'd brushed up on any of that, and to really understand, like the big one, the split between Protestantism and Catholicism. That one's kind of easy to understand, like how that happened.
Yeah, that was the king.
The king wanted to have divorces. That was one of the reasons. Also, people wanted to be able to read the Bible in English as opposed to have to rely on a guy that speaks Latin. Most people didn't speak Latin, so if you didn't go to the priest to get an interpretation, you don't even know what it says in the book. And so that was
Ted Cruz still didn't know what it says.
Yeah, and that was the Reformation, of Christianity, where they went from, instead of just listening to what the church says, to going to try to interpret just by what it says in the book, which is so it does come with its own set of problems as well. But
so let's talk about something truly biblical. Anthony Oliver.
Yeah. I need to check him out. I really liked that song, the one that made him famous, the Richmond.
Well, he's got a new one.
I know, and I'm embarrassed to say I haven't listened to it.
I got to say, it's a good song, but I don't think it's as good as, it doesn't hit me as well as Richmond, north of Richmond, but it's a good song.
Right.
But I
Is it
think
about breakups?
Yeah, it's about his ex-wife,
okay.
But it's
I saw
it's
part
a
of the
scorned
Rogan
woman song.
Okay, I saw part of the episode with him on Rogan, so that's how I know about it. And Rogan was really saying how much he liked the song, and I
it's a good song. It's definitely a good song, and it's kind of like it's a banger. I mean, it's like you can feel the emotion of it, but I mean, it doesn't hit me like that other song did. But it's a good song.
Is it, as they would say, a tearjerker?
No. It's
anger. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, fuck that bitch. But, the thing that I think he may be the next version of Kurt Cobain. Like,
God, let's hope not completely.
Well, no. No. Well, I don't think he does heroin either. So I think we're good.
Don't ever let him meet Courtney Love.
But I think that's going to be his kind of rootsy kind of thing is going to be the new thing, I mean, like the rock.
Could be onto something now.
Yeah, like the rock country has been, the Waylon and what's his name, the tattoo face dude. Yeah. Well, anyway,
Post Malone. No.
Yeah, Post Malone. I mean, all that kind of nouveau country thing has come around.
Jelly Roll, right? Isn't that who you're talking about?
Yeah, him too. Yeah, same thing. Him and Post Malone, I think about the same. But I think that's going to morph into a more organic. And that's another thing. I'm surprised you weren't into it because that's right up your alley.
It is right up my alley. That's why I said I'm embarrassed that I don't know more of this stuff, and I need to get into it. And I have a feeling I'm really going to like it because
I mean, he doesn't have that much material. I mean, I've tried to, when his first song came out, I tried to listen to like most everything I get my hands on of his other stuff, which a lot of that's pretty good too. But there's not. I mean, I'm going to say he's probably only got maybe a dozen songs that you'll be even able to listen to. Of his all, complete life's worth of work. I mean, unless there's stuff that I can't find or haven't seen or nothing. But I mean, I don't think...
2 albums, 3 albums?
No, I don't think he's... I don't know if he's put out any albums. I think he's only ever put stuff out on YouTube. And like...
Well, bully for him. He's been on Rogan twice and he hasn't... Only put out 11 songs.
That's the other thing. I mean, I saw the episode where Rogan was saying, he calls me for advice and he's asking me what to do about, should I sign a record deal? Should I do this, that, and the other thing? And Joe Rogan rightfully told him, don't sign anything. And because what could a record label do for you that Joe Rogan can't do?
And that you haven't already accomplished on your own as well.
Exactly. Record companies got nothing on him.
Don't ask the Sharks for anything. You're good.
Exactly. I mean, he does not need a record company at all. So, I mean, I just go, hey, Joe, I need I need $1 million to produce my next album. You want to back me? You like me, right? You got faith in me, right?
A great producer, built-in audience. Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, there's nothing that a record company could do for you that Joe Rogan couldn't do. But Joe Rogan should just start his own record label. Go, okay, Anthony Oliver Records. There it is. If you want to sign under that, I just, it's brilliant. That
I wonder if anybody's approached him with that business idea, starting his own record
who knows?
company.
I mean, he's busy. I'm sure he's got a million things.
It's not like he would have to do anything, though.
That's true.
He would just provide a space and basically produce as far as pay for the space and the material and the equipment.
Just give him money. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, maybe talk about it on an episode or something and promote it, but that wouldn't be too difficult either.
Yeah. So, Joe, if you're listening,
take this idea and run, and then send us something.
Yeah, Anthony Oliver's the shit, man. He's
I could see how he would, him or somebody like him, being a new popular thing too, because I think people are going to be, and rightfully so, if not already, sick of AI and sick of art and overly produced, auto-tuned, fake, fabricated. There's an authenticity to a guy like
authenticity.
Oliver.
That's the word. That's the thing that people are yearning for.
Yeah,
authenticity, and there's nothing fake about that guy at all. Nothing. I mean, you could say, "Oh, this guy's reinvented himself." He's that's the guy. That's him. I mean, that's him. There's nothing. It's that authenticity, and that dude. I mean, that's something that I've been for decades saying that like I've seen some bands and they're like a good band, but it's just like. I can tell when somebody's acting, when somebody's jumping around on stage and, and it's like rehearsed or contrived or whatever. And it's just like, look, if you're going to jump around on stage, if you're authentically excited enough to jump around, great. But if you got a rehearsed routine of like, all right, I'm going to go over to this now and then, that's just that you lose me.
Seeing somebody do something that they're good at and that's clearly making them happy is a whole new level of enjoyment for sure.
Exactly.
It's like even watching. We talked about this on one of the other shows about watching videos on YouTube of just weird labor tasks, things that you would never do, but seeing somebody do it perfectly and efficiently is super cool. But I must add that seeing him do it perfectly, efficiently, and happy is even better.
Absolutely. Oh, by the way, before I forget, notice the new production values of the Sloth.
So much nicer than what's on the other side.
I have ripped out pages out of, we have printers now.
Printed notes, thanks to young Ethan. Thank you, Ethan. Yes. Shout out, Ethan.
Oh, God.
I will say also that I don't need them as nearly as bad as you because I can actually read my own handwriting.
Well, it's not even that. It's just it was like looking raggedy, ripped out of a notebook.
I was just teasing you.
I know. But what did I talk about here? Oh yeah. This is so funny. So I was on Facebook. And I think I told you about this already. So this guy was posting all this stuff about politics, and this guy tries to keep everything light and funny. If you start arguing on his page, he just deletes something or whatever. He's like, "Oh, I'm all about." Anyway, so he posted a couple of things about politics, and then he posted something, basically that said, "All right, now for something really important, football." Right. So my comment was, "You are the poster boy for bread and circus," right? I thought it was funny. Apparently, he didn't think it was that funny. Apparently, he's like, "You're the poster boy for negativity." He kind of made fun of the podcast. I'm like, all right, whatever. Which is funny because now I always go so and so's favorite podcast. But here's the dig that I thought was particularly funny, and I always have. He accused me of thinking I'm always right. Who doesn't think they're always right?
Thinking you're always right at the moment makes sense, but never admitting you were ever wrong, that would be different.
Exactly.
That would be different.
Exactly. But there
is a fine line between those and it's all over you. It's a gnat.
I know.
There is a fine line between that and the Tucker Carlson. You won't get consistency from me, but you will get sincerity,
But the thing is, like, who actually argues a point knowing they're wrong? I mean, everybody thinks they're right.
Yeah.
It's just such a stupid...
Unless you don't know something about a subject, in which case you say, I can't really weigh in on that.
Yeah,
I don't really know.
And if you think you're right and you get new information and you just go, oh, shit, I was wrong about that. All right. But just that as an insult, like, you always think you're right. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe what he meant to say was that you always feel the need to express that you think you're right. But that's not what he said.
Right.
But
that would be a valid. That would be
a more accurate description. But for sure, why would anybody argue something if they didn't think they were right?
Exactly. It's just like,
unless they were, being paid to be a shill or just pushing somebody's button. I guess there are reasons why you would argue something.
The hilarious part is he this big paragraph of negativity about me putting that joke up there. So my response was, "Lighten up, Francis."
Oh, yeah, classic line from a classic movie.
And then he removed it. So I was like, okay. See you later. And it's just like, well, how stupid. Yeah, you think you're always right. Yeah, duh.
Yeah. Do you think that movie was good or bad for recruitment?
Which one?
Stripes. You think recruitment for the Army went up or down or had any effect whatsoever on that? I can see some guys watching that and thinking, that looks like a lot of fun, kind of cool. I like the RV.
I mean, you're talking to somebody that never would have
the butt griddles.
possibly ever think about joining the Army. So I don't know.
Were you ever did they even come after you, like in high school or anything? Or
I had to register for the draft.
That doesn't count. Everybody had to register. I mean, I don't
try
know
to
if guys
recruit
do
me
anymore.
in high school.
Right. Yeah.
No. Well, here's the thing, dude. In high school, I was on a fast track to be like a rocket scientist. So they're not. Those aren't the guys they recruit. They're going for the guys on the football team and the wrestlers and the weightlifters.
No, I mean they basically. Did you take the ASVAB or not?
I don't think so.
Okay, well then that's why.
What is that?
It's the Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery.
Maybe I did.
It's a test that basically.
They give it to you in school, right?
They offer it to you. Okay, so when I went to school,
I don't think
they said if you take the ASVAB, you can get out as soon as you're finished with the test. And they did it at I want to say right before lunch one day. So I'm like, so I just go take this test that doesn't matter that I'm not getting graded on, and then I get to leave for the rest of the day. So I took the test because it was a way to get out of school.
I don't remember that. No,
I was still prideful and not an idiot. So I did to the best of my ability, and I got like a 98 or whatever. I didn't try, I just did it real fast because I wanted to get out of there. And it was a huge mistake because after that, I actually got
they were after you,
knock on the door. Yeah, I got visited by the Navy 3 times and the Army twice.
Wow.
The Marines knew better. They knew I was way too lazy and soft for that, but.
They must
I was so bold and blatant to the recruiter. I'm like, I have no interest. I told him I only took the test to get out of class. Yeah. I sleep late. I hate authority. Like all of that stuff.
I'm a sloth doctor.
I'm lazy. Yeah, exactly. I'm fat. I don't want to do it. Yeah. I want to be told what to do. Oh, there's a place for something. Like, no, there's not. I don't know what they told you to say, but.
No, there are actually people like that. And
I have thought how weird would my life have been if I'd have, join the naval intelligence or something at 18.
Well, that's one thing that's my major regret in life is not being a hacker. I should have learned how to be a hacker or whatever, coding back and and my dad was into digital stuff way at the beginning, before anybody. He was talking about this guy Bill Gates. This guy's genius. He's going to make all this money way before anybody heard any of that stuff. And I could have gotten on the ground floor of that, and I was like,
yeah. I feel the same.
Now
I have the same
I've
opinion.
almost mastered email.
Right. I have the same opinion. Not only should I have also gotten in on that on the ground floor, but given my birth name and the fact that my father worked for IBM for 30 years and was a senior advisory programmer or something, I definitely should have gotten on the game earlier. But no.
All right. So what do you think? Do you think Mars is a leftover moon?
I don't know. It's possible. I don't think it changes anything. It doesn't change anything about the science. And I also, if a celestial body is a moon, but the planet that it once orbited no longer exists, is it still even a moon? If it's a celestial body and it's in orbit around the sun, that by definition makes it a planet. So, I mean, you can argue about how it got there. I don't think it's artificial, and I don't think it's call it a moon now.
Well, I guess if a moon's going around a planet, then it's not orbiting the sun. It's orbiting the planet.
Well, that's what makes it a moon.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, I sent you that video. It was like, this team's, because that would explain the asteroid belt is apparently where there could have been a planet.
Remnants, sure.
Yeah, they got, I wonder if the other thing about the asteroid belt is, I mean, if things are spinning around, in a gravital, doesn't it kind of just wouldn't all those particles be from their mass just kind of all gather in the same place anyway? And then isn't that how a centrifuge
accretion
works?
Yeah, that's kind of one of the theories of how those things form. Yeah, I mean, as good as the mathematical models can be, and as good as much cosmological as information as we can gather, when you're talking about things that occurred billions of years ago, there's always room for error.
Oh yeah,
I think I've said once before, it's amazing to me, really, with the amount of uncertainty built into quantum physics itself. It's amazing to me that the world even works.
Oh yeah, it's true.
It really is.
I mean, at any given point, something could come tearing through the universe,
the concept of the way a toddler will ask you why until finally you have a mental breakdown because they'll reach a point where you can't answer the why. Right. I feel like that should apply to the laws of physics.
Oh yeah,
I can't believe it hasn't happened yet.
Oh yeah, it's true. It's true.
God must be very patient.
Yeah.
But why? But why?
And I mean, and the thing is, if in fact there was ever any civilized life on Mars, I would have to think that if it was us. It was us from, like, my theory that we were a more advanced technical
Right.
civilization before the reset or whatever. Could possibly be at that point we could have maybe got to Mars. And I mean, but then again, it still wouldn't have been habitable then, though.
No, but why can't it be the reverse of that? Why can't Mars have spread to here?
That's true.
And basically brought biological or advanced biological life here.
But isn't Mars closer to the sun than us?
No.
Oh.
It's one more out, I believe.
Oh, okay. That makes sense then, because what they're saying is all the planets have gradually move away. So, yeah, it could have been that at one point,
maybe originally we were too hot, but they were just right.
Yep, exactly. That could be the case. And, of course, the fact that they say they're finding stuff on Mars, like, I don't know if you saw Joe Rogan shows that one square thing that they're showing that's like, that can't be natural, because they've got a picture of something on Mars that's like square.
Right.
So it's got to be somebody built it. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they've been saying that about images on Mars ever since they started getting images on Mars.
Well, the other images, though, like the face.
There's a
But the face has kind of been
pyramid,
debunked.
There's a this, there's a that.
Well, a pyramid, like you point out, it could be a hill that just happened to have four sides. The face, actually, if you look at it from the side, is not a face.
Right.
It's, but this thing that they have, which is definitely four lines of something, is pretty, I don't know, that's telling, but I obviously. But
it would take, I need more.
Yeah, I agree.
It's intriguing, but I need more.
That was an interesting video, too, but then it got all biblical, and it was just like, wait, this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, they always make that hard left, and then from that point on, I find it hard to even take any of the scientific information they're giving me with any credibility.
Yeah, well, that's true. Then you have to kind of think back and go, okay, how much of this shit are they making up?
Right. It's funny how somebody can be having a perfectly rational, secular, normal conversation based in the 21st century, and then something will come out of their mouth that blows your mind. I refer back again to the wonderful Senator Ted Cruz, who stated that his primary reason for being a champion of Israel is because the Bible commands him to do so, because he'll receive blessings.
Insane.
It truly is. And discouraging, I must add.
So, have you heard about the new OJ theory?
No, do tell.
Well,
so should we shout out to the guy with the really cool plate we saw in the parking lot today? The white Bronco whose plate said not OJ.
Oh, yeah.
Parked right in front of him. Yeah, great plate.
Brand new Bronco, though. Yeah, that is pretty funny. But, there's somebody was saying that they think...
Oh, wait. I think I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
The sun did it.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's why
you've heard that too.
Yeah. I think it was you that told me, though.
Oh, maybe it was me. Yeah, but yeah, that's
why. Yeah,
theory.
you basically kind of took the fall for him. I mean, not like he confessed.
But imagine if that was true, and you had to go through life as O.J. Simpson, trying to tell people, and like, really, no, I didn't do it.
Right? Yeah, because you can never say it.
You can never say it, really,
even on your deathbed.
But then also, point. And then that also, proves that if he was actually saying, I'm out looking for the real killers, who the damn real killer is. You ain't looking for shit, but that's hilarious. But yeah, it'd be an interesting.
It's an interesting theory.
Twist.
But, I mean, I think he did it.
OJ thing.
I've always thought he did it.
All right. So before we get too far along, I got to say, we got a problem with Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's a podcast called Matan.
We like the podcast.
There's the
something
podcast
about
great.
Mike.
There's something about that guy.
It's creepy. It's eerie.
We got a problem with that guy, so we're just kind of putting it out there.
We need somebody to pass this information along to him. So,
and speaking of which, I have to shout out right away to Pearl Floors in Palm City, Florida, and Chris Pearl Music, because they're gonna be getting a lot of credit for something we're gonna be dropping soon. So I'll just get that out there first. Chris Pearl and Chris Pearl Music and Pearl Floors.
Right.
Great guys to do business with. But Mike, see, he's a problem, man. We're gonna have to do something about that guy. And if you don't know who we're talking about,
we'll leave a link in the description.
Yeah, there you go.
Leave a link in the description.
Let's just say
I'll pick one of Matan's more interesting episodes where Mike is in rare form.
Yeah.
And we can get some footage.
Let's just say Marty Feldman eyes.
Yeah, I mean we've mentioned him and the Marty Feldman eyes once before.
Oh, that's right. This is a reminder.
Third one.
But
but we have been working on something specifically for him.
Yeah.
Not that I have any worry about him saying anything about it because I don't think he speaks.
I've never heard him say a word. Yeah, I don't think. And it's funny because I, as you know, the manager is named Mike. So it's like if there was another Mike to go on the show, would he be Mike?
Mike.
Anyway,
Mike cubed.
So this Matan guy, as I've said before, is I believe he's a perfect a blend of Andy Kaufman and Tom Green.
Yeah,
he's like perfect. If that's your taste in comedy, you're going to love this guy.
And he's good for being so young too. He's really polished. Almost like in wrestling kayfabe, he's really good at keeping it up. Not breaking character. I don't think I've ever seen him out of character. Hell, maybe he's not in character. Maybe that's him. I don't think so.
Actually, I've seen clips where they say he goes out of character, but I've never watched the clip to see if he actually goes out of character.
Right. I mean, he's definitely not from Shimon.
Yeah, I don't. Do you think he's actually even? No. He says, is he Jewish or not Jewish?
I think he is. I'm not sure.
I don't think he is.
No,
I don't think. As a matter of fact, I don't think he likes Jewish people.
Maybe he's a self-loathing Jew.
That could be.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember either.
I haven't done a deep dive on him. I've just been too obsessed with Mike.
Yeah,
Can't get past that guy. Those piercing hawk-like vulture eyes.
Yes, this is true. He is pretty funny. And like you said, we could maybe bring in Doc as a regular when we get our own studio and have him be our own.
Shout out to Doc S. Yeah.
Sidekick. But yeah, you know what? We need more comments. Obviously, for topics since I've run out already, and we've gotten. But we're going to actually have our first call next episode,
right?
So that'll be interesting. See how that goes.
Right. And again, we want to put that number out there. We haven't been doing it as religious as we'd like to. I believe it is 904-549-9024. It will be in the description, of course, but I'll be sure to repeat it again before we're done. Make sure I get it right. One thing I did want to bring up, I had something written down in my notes, just one little thing. We can chat about it for a minute. The concept of secession, when a state wants to secede from a country. I mean, obviously, the most grandiose example of it in this country would have been what started the Civil War. Texas has oftentimes, portions of them or little contingencies, said that they wanted to secede. And Texas is interesting, too, because Texas, being on its own power grid, actually could it would be less trouble infrastructure-wise for them to do so. They have their own grid. And then I think even Key West at one point,
I think they actually
jokingly tried.
No, I think they actually did.
Which one?
Key West. I think
really?
they've successfully succeeded from the Union. I'm not sure.
I thought it was a joke, but
it is kind of a joke. I think
like Pirate Nation or Parrot Nation or something.
Yeah, but I think they legally succeeded, but they're not. Obviously they're not doing anything differently other than that they were doing before. But I think they successfully succeeded.
Well, the reason I bring it all up is because I heard somebody. It was either in somebody's comments or something. I don't think it was anybody like an official or anything in the state of California saying California would secede from the United States, right? And that led me to think of this. This thought was what I had written down. Is there any historical precedent or has any nation ever done the opposite and told a state, you're no longer in the nation, kick a state out of the country? Has that ever happened? I know it's never happened in the United States. I know certain proposed states have been denied entry or relined or redesigned.
Isn't that kind of what happened with the Soviet Union?
Well, no, those they weren't kicked out. They all wanted to leave. That's different. True. That's when when the Berlin Wall fell. No, I mean like a sort of well-running country just picking one area of their country that they found particularly problematic. Let's say California. In other words, what if Trump and Congress or whatever just said, okay, California, you're on your own. Be your own country. Have your own borders. Use your own port. You have access to the Pacific Ocean. Have your own ports. You got a pretty big economy. You should be able to do it on your own.
I think for the very reason that would never happen is the reason that you're probably not going to find any countries that have been kicked out of another country, just if nothing else for the just pure resources.
That is obviously the main answer. I get that. I just wondered if out of pure spite or sheer anger or violence or any, has it ever, historically, is any
I can't think of any
country willingly given up an area of land because they found it to be too problematic, or just, an area that was within their country?
The only thing
not a colony.
Think of.
I'm not talking about somebody giving up on a colony because things got out of control.
Well, I was going to say, the only thing I can think of is I know there's a place in India where they just kind of gave up, and there's like these weird feral people that live on the island or something.
Oh, the North Sentinelese. Yeah, the North Sentinel Island.
That's about the only thing I could even think of that would be close to that.
But that island has never been part of civilized India. It's been left alone the whole time.
Well, then they don't qualify then, yeah. I don't know. I don't think so.
Humorous and chilling results every time anybody does try to go there, which is they get killed.
Well, not everybody gets killed, but some.
Well, not the first time, but eventually, if you go there enough times, they'll kill you. And those are like those cargo cult islands in the Pacific that sprung up during World War II, where they found these, they started discovering these little islands of people living on them that had built out of bamboo and whatnot altars to planes. Because of World War II, they started seeing planes for the first time in their lives and misinterpreted them as divine beings and gods. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't think of any, but yeah. No, most countries are all about acquiring. I've never heard of any of them.
Nobody ever says, you know what, it's just not worth it. Unless some other countries, and again, I'm not talking about purchasing, when we purchased Alaska from Russia, or the Louisiana purchase, or the Oregon from the Brits.
I can't think of any.
Yeah, well, that was my last little, I wanted to bring that up and see if anybody in the comments can prove me wrong.
Maybe Iceland? Did Iceland belong to anybody and they just gave it up?
Let's see. It currently belongs to Denmark.
I don't know.
And I'm trying to think I can't think back to who had it before them.
I
think it's always been under some sort of Scandinavian control.
Right. Yeah.
But I think it's always been the Danes.
Yeah, got me on that one. That's a good question.
All right. Well, like and subscribe and let us know in the comments what we did wrong, right? or what countries rather have willingly ceded up property like that or given it away. You got anything else?
Not really. No, want to wrap this one up?
Yeah, let's wrap this one up. We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time, guys.
Thanks.